Hello, sports fans. Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Thank you for stopping by our YouTube channel. Make sure to hit the subscribe and notifications toggle so you never miss a thing. All of our content up here every day. Looking forward to it. Thank you, and we'll see you on the radio. Hello, everyone. Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Thank you, as always, for listening to our content. But for more in-depth coverage on the Indiana Hoosiers football, basketball, and recruiting news, go to thehoosier.com on 3. Now with On 3 and great national writers like Ari Wasserman, Andy Staples, and Steve Wiltfong for football. Pete Nakos, J.B. Shaw, and Joe Tipton's constantly breaking stories on the basketball side. And the local coverage from Alec Lasley, Kyler Staley, and Zach Browning. You can catch something new every day at thehoosier.com. Go there. Sign up today.
Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by the Hard Truth Distilling Company in Brown County, Indiana.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world,
touchdown, Indy. Woo! IU, America, they got a football team now.
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
Now, from the Hard Truth Studios, here's Jim Coyle.
Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this Monday. So glad to have you along. As always, very, very fortunate, and very, very fortunate to have a good friend of the show, Dane Fife, take some time to spend with us and get him on the speaker there. Dane's on the phone with us. Dane, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Jim. I appreciate you having me on. Good to talk to you.
It is always my pleasure, brother, to talk to you. You've always been great to us, and just always been a great all the way around. How have you enjoyed the NCAA tournament so far?
Oh, it's been outstanding. I don't know what the public sentiment is, whether they've enjoyed it or not, but I've really enjoyed it. I've enjoyed watching the games, enjoyed watching the strategy, and my Spartans almost made it all the way to the Final Four. I thought they were gonna beat Auburn, but a very good season for my Spartans. Hoosiers, they did okay, but
no, they didn't. No, they didn't. Let's just be honest here. No. This is a no BS fly zone here, baby. No, they did not. But I'm glad you brought up the Spartans, because was this Tom Izzo's best coaching job ever? And I understand he's won a national championship. I understand he's had tons of great teams, but this was not a team that had a quote unquote superstar on it. It didn't have so much of those teams that he has succeeded so highly with. I'm just thinking he did one hell of a coaching job. Nobody expected Michigan State to really win the Big Ten title, to do what they did. But it's Tom Izzo. I don't know why we shouldn't expect that.
I think that's the best point you made, that it's just what Tom Izzo does. And I can remember our two Final Four teams that I was part of at Michigan State were probably the two least talented teams that I'd coached at Michigan State. I was there for 10 years, and as I said, our two Final Four teams were probably our least talented teams out of the 10. So I think your best point is that Tom Izzo just flat out understands how to motivate players. He knows how to coach, but he knows how to motivate kids, and he can take blue-collar teams that are not as talented, and make them tough, competitive. They share the ball, and they really are a unit. And those are the teams that you generally succeed in March. And I think, you look at the teams in the national championship game, Houston and Florida, and that's all that Sampson for Houston and Golden for Florida talk about is how close their teams are as units.
And I think we see that on the floor. They play very unselfishly. They play together and they play to win. And it's funny you say that because before you joined us, I was talking about Florida and talking about Indiana as they slowly add names to their roster. The most recent one, the kid from Davidson, that I'm like, okay, I know that none of you've never heard of the kid. But guess what? I said, how many players on Florida's roster had you ever heard of prior to this year? I'm going to guess probably none unless you are just a college basketball freak. And yet here they are poised to win a national championship. People have got to get away from these star names, I think, and just understand it's about putting a team together with the best talent you can get.
Sure, I can agree with you on that, Jim. I think yes, there is. It's fashionable to love the Cooper Flags of the world, and Cooper Flag's incredible. He's made college basketball, really really fun this year. But I think the better story is what you alluded to. You take Walter Clayton Jr. of Florida, who's become the darling of college basketball, simply because he keeps his mouth shut. He's relatively unknown, and he plays his butt off. And he really is fun, exciting to watch. So if you haven't watched him, for the people that are listening, my gosh, pay close attention because he'll come out of nowhere and knock down a couple shots. He takes some wild shots, but he makes them too. That's what makes scouting reports so difficult for a guy like Walter Clayton Jr., because the term would be takes and makes tough shots, and you cannot be surprised when he shoots the ball.
No, and just watching these, all of these teams. I mean, of course, Jai Broom we knew was a great player. Cooper Flag, the number one player in the country, of course, going to be the number one drafted the NBA draft coming up. But neither of those guys are going to be playing for a championship.
That's a good point. And I think I don't know if the ratings will suffer, but
they haven't yet.
I know this. What's that?
They have not yet.
Yeah. So when you take a Duke and maybe an Auburn with Broom and Bruce Pearl out of the equation, I think the expectation would be, it's just I haven't heard of these squads, but I haven't heard of these players that are playing in the game. But I encourage everybody to take a close look at the way Florida plays and this guy, Walter Clayton Jr., and the way Houston plays, and really watch just how well they play together. You don't see a lot of bad shots being taken, and you see a lot of camaraderie, communication, huddles after dead balls. That's a sign of a really good team where the players are governing themselves. Gino Auriemma, I don't know if you watched the Women's National Championship yesterday, but Gino Auriemma just had a really good comment about how his players, I think towards the very end of the year, they really fell in love. He used the quote that they fell in love with each other. They fell in love with being part of a team, and they really became one. And I think it was literally 5 or 6 games ago that he alluded to. I just thought that was a really interesting comment. And I think it really speaks to how these teams, they take a while to really develop and really peak. And you're seeing that with Houston's been pretty good all year, but the hope is that you're playing your best basketball now. And I think we're seeing that with both Houston and Florida. And it's been really fun to watch these teams over the course of probably the last 8 or 10 games as they've gone into their conference tournaments and now into the NCAA tournament.
Well, I think it's a great point because obviously, as well as these teams are, as well as some of these teams are put together, like I talked about earlier with the bigger names, at the end of the day, it's the best teams that will come out on top. And that is going to be proven in this championship tonight. But in this day and age of NIL and all of that stuff, I think I cannot think of a greater point to harp home on first of all, this being what many are considering one of the best tournaments ever. And I know it's been chalky, but it doesn't matter. The ratings are through the roof. People are loving these games. You're getting to see Houston take on a Florida team that probably maybe I could see people putting Houston up there at the beginning of the year, probably not Florida, but this is how it's supposed to be, and we don't know how it's going to turn out.
Well, I think what's interesting is that you have the teams that are run of the mill, and they're going deeper into the tournament, which means larger fan bases, alumni bases. The bigger schools maybe have made a difference in tournament followings. Yes, you don't have your supersonic upset, media darling, smaller school, but I think what you do have is you do have the you've got the Power 5 schools that are involved, and the teams that we've watched all year, the teams that we're familiar with. I think familiarity does make a difference relative to fanfare. I don't know exactly why it's one of the most watched tournaments in recent history, but that's my theory.
Well, it's as good as anybody's. So I guess we can always start calling you Dr. Fife.
No, I like that.
Yeah, a little something new. So what is new with Dr. Fife?
Dr. Fife selling insurance, watching a lot of basketball, being a dad, following his daughters around. Occasionally when my wife lets me into the house, I get to hang around with her every once in a while, and we watch some shows. We do some cooking.
What show are you watching? I just picked up a new show a couple of new shows here.
Well, what is that? High Surf. It's a Hawaii show. It's on.
Yeah, you've got me lost already.
Yeah. So not too much. I lead a pretty boring life, but I've got a 15-year-old and a 12-year-old daughter. They're doing sports.
Your daughters are, oh my God, they're that old now? Holy smokes.
So there's plenty for me to do.
Holy smokes. So are they in sports?
Yep. They're doing basketball and volleyball. So we've got plenty to do. And like I said, I stay involved in sports quite a bit. I go watch practices, college practices, high school practices. So I stay involved. Yep.
Well, I would imagine we can't have you getting uninvolved. Who are you? What kind of insurance are you selling? We get a plug out there.
Commercial insurance. Yep, commercial. So large commercial businesses.
Love that. All right. Well, I'll get more information on that from you later. We'll give you what's the name of the company?
MJ Insurance. Actually, the MJ companies, but we're based out of Indianapolis. We're a big company out in Indianapolis. Great company, man. I wouldn't have it any other way. Just an incredible company, and I can't see myself doing anything else. Working with a great group of people.
We'll push on that MJ. We'll find more out about MJ Insurance and push that for you a little bit later on. But just for those of you, anybody, commercial businesses, owners, there you go. You want to keep it in the family. Dane Fife selling commercial insurance. So I guess you get you need to hook up with daggone it. Anthony Leal. He's selling commercial property, and then you can insure him.
Yeah, I like that. It's a good plan. Yep, I will connect with the Leal Deal and Leal Estate and see if we can do some moving and shaking for him.
You might as well. I mean, that's how the world works, man. So, do you anticipate getting back into coaching, or is that something that you want to step away from? Just get into a normal life. You just said you've got a relatively normal life right now, and coaching is far from a normal life.
Yeah, it is. It's having your weekends off and your nights relatively free, to go watch your kids, to do different things, has been a blessing. And Jim, you never say never, but one of the problems I've been having is I don't want to leave Bloomington.
I don't think Bloomington wants you to leave either.
Well, my daughters are holding me captive, holding my wife and I captive. We told them when we moved down here to Bloomington that we wouldn't leave, and so any other coaching job outside of Bloomington would prevent me from leaving, because I'm not going to separate myself from my family, especially when my daughters are they're growing up and they're almost out of the house. I want to see them through. So I just don't have any interest in coaching. It really limits my ability to coach. And I had opportunities. I'm not leaving my family. And I told them we'd stay in Bloomington, and it's just not worth it to move. And I'm in a really good spot in my life relative to my job and my family and where we live. So life couldn't be better. I would say, though, never say never with coaching, but at this point, I don't plan on getting back in it. Nope.
Yeah, it's hard to always write that off, because you never know what might come along. So trust me, I understand that. And you never know. With today's game is changing so fast. There are positions that were not there 2-3 years ago, Dane, like a GM. A GM position that I'm quite certain Indiana is going to be creating.
Yeah, I think a GM, it sounds appealing, but I think you're entering some waters that we're dealing with people you've never had to, at least I've never had to deal with before, and that would be mainly agents or, negotiating money that there is no end, and there really isn't a lot of there's not a lot of concrete financial terms that you're looking at. And what I mean by that is there is no ceiling. There is no market value for a college player, for a freshman, for a sophomore, for a transfer. There's no market value. So right now the market is being set, and it's being set every single time you bring in a player. And so I'm just not sure that that's very appealing. But then again, there is some crossover. I know plenty of GMs right now, or so-called GMs, that are also doing a lot of the coaching. But then too, a lot of the negotiating and the financial terms, the assistants have to do a lot of that too. So if you're going to be in coaching nowadays, you're going to be in college, you're going to have to deal with understanding what a player's financial value is, and probably have to deal with agents. So I don't think it's I think every assistant nowadays has to be prepared for that and understand that and understand how to navigate those waters.
How much coaching experience would a GM for a college program need, and how much more would it be on what you just talked about, more about the numbers and knowing the value and negotiating and all of that? Is there much coaching that would be involved in that position, coaching experience, I should say?
Jim, I always felt like the coaching part of basketball, the actual X's and O's, is about 10%. Because if you take the year, it goes up during the actual season, that percentage goes up. But in the off season, you're spending most of your time trying to help that young man, that young person, grow as a human being. You're really teaching life skills and helping them navigate through life to make them better. I always liked Coach Izzo's theory. If you can help the player eliminate the distractions in their life, that's when they really move forward. But the problem is there's so many distractions nowadays, from social media to money to social life to parents to aunts, uncles, coaches that are in these kids' ears. That's the goal, is to keep those distractions to a minimum. And if you can keep everybody in line, pushing the player forward, it's hard for that player to fail. But the tough part is getting everybody in line and keeping those distractions limited.
And today, with the portal being just almost an automatic, you can figure that at least half of your team, on a minimum, if not more, will enter the portal at season's end for a lot of teams. I don't know if that's always the case. I know that Matt Painter says, he tries to have conversations with his guys before the season ends to get an idea. But, I don't know if a player knows that point, how honest they could be at that point. But keeping a team together, I would not in any way want to be a coach in that regard today.
Yeah, I'd say if I were advising a player under the current conditions, I'd tell him to go to the portal every year.
Todd Leary said the same thing.
Yeah, and you can't, you really can't lose. Now, I know there's exceptions to the rule, and plenty of kids probably do lose money that they otherwise would have been making. But I'm used to the Power 5, and if I'm Power 5, you go to the portal every year because there is no penalties. I guess the difference between a coach and a player now, if coach decides to, but for players, there is nothing. And so I would see what my value is every year. And I'd go to the portal, no question about it. There just is no guardrails, and it's chaos right now. I sense that loyalty is mostly dead. And it's very transactional right now. I don't even know how you have trust, but I'm sure it exists. I don't know how you can form trust when everything's so financially based. And it just wasn't that way in college. It never was that way, and now it is.
I agree. Do you think there are some teams that are managing to get that done, and those that do are having more success?
I think there are some teams. Purdue and Michigan State come to mind, but then there's also plenty out there that Houston comes to mind. Houston's got relatively good roster that's maintained players, multiple players that have been there for 2, 3, 4 years. But for the most part, you also have your programs that just go out and get the best players or the best fits, and that's their prerogative. And most times, you have no control over it. But when you take someone like Auburn or Duke, that they take some of the Duke's models. Looks like they're going to take some of the best freshmen and fill in the gaps with some players from different programs, like Gillis from Purdue. There's always been different models, but by and large, I think you're gonna if the rules stay the way they are, it's gonna get everybody, even the Michigan States and Purdue's. The transfer portal is gonna get everybody, and it's gonna be hard to keep kids 2 and 3 years and 4 years.
Yeah, and if I was a coach at the mid-major level, I don't know how that would just seem to be a very, very difficult place to be, because you are poised for poaching every single year like nobody's business.
Yeah, you've got to go into that with the knowledge that you've got to try. If you're a mid-major coach, you've got to try to win and move up, because otherwise the college Grim Reaper is going to get you. It's just hard. It's going to be hard to maintain that type of level of play if you are winning when you don't have the financial resources to either keep players or continue and to fill in gaps with really good talent. If you don't have the kind of money that I say the market, if you don't have the money to afford the top tier talent based on your league.
Now, Indiana obviously just went through a change again, and there's a new head coach, a new entire team in there as far as his staff, and every player virtually is going to be brand new. Do you have any familiarity with Darian DeVries?
I don't. Other than I watched his teams a little bit at Drake the year prior to when he went to West Virginia. And then I watched a little bit of West Virginia this year, but otherwise I don't. I don't think I'd met him previously, but you know what? I think all things point towards good stuff from Coach DeVries. I like his demeanor. He seems no nonsense. He seems to really understand, based on what I'm seeing so far, the players he's bringing in, really understand what's going to help. He's going to recruit to his style. You know, he's bringing in kids that can pass the ball, that can good competitors. But, you know, it's time will tell. He's still got to fill a roster. I think as of now, he's probably got 3 or 4 players.
I think 4
in
totality, yeah.
Yeah, so he's got to get 8, 9, 10, 11 players that, you know, that could make Indiana a really viable challenger to the top teams in the Big Ten. So he's got work to do, but you know, Scott Dolson knows what he's doing, and I trust Scott will ensure that Coach DeVries has everything he needs to bring in the top talent.
Yeah, you mentioned Scott. I mean, he did the impossible with football. I mean, Indiana football was in essence a walking corpse of a program, and now all of a sudden they went to the college football playoffs. That's unbelievable. Now, if he can get basketball turned around, he's going on the Mount Rushmore of Indiana athletics, brother.
Yeah, that'd be pretty neat to see, where you'd have IU football and basketball in the upper echelon of college sports, college athletics lore. It would be incredible. I was here during the Randall L years when I was a student athlete, and had a great time. It seemed like they'd either have a really good offense or a really good defense forever. And with Randall L, they had a really good offense. But what football's doing right now is it's great for the community. It just, you know, I can't wait for this fall, just to see those guys go out there and compete. I don't know if they'll be as good as they were last year.
I think they'll have a better team personally.
Yeah.
I don't know that they'll have a better record.
Wow. I enjoy how they compete, and I enjoy the demeanor they have, the football program had last year. That's what I'm looking forward to seeing.
Did you get to go to any games?
You know, I don't really go to many games. I went to a couple basketball games this year. I like staying home and watching them on TV, to be honest with you.
Well, football seemed like it'd be easier to get lost in the crowd than basketball.
It's not really about that as much as I like to rewind and watch replays. And football, I have no interest, just because I'm not sitting out there in the sun all day. Basketball, at least you have a roof over you, but I really just like to sit and chill on the couch and really study those games, as opposed to be at the game and not have instant replays generally.
Well, I get that, because I feel the same way. I cannot stand when I cannot hear a game and hear what's going on, not because I want the play-by-play. I can see what's happening. It's all the other information that gets delivered that you may not know about.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you.
So now that you've got spring coming on, you know, being in the insurance business, and I mentioned earlier, golfing is something you're going to have to start doing a little bit more of.
Yeah, I know. I've got to invest in some sunscreen, though. I really don't like the sun very much.
The sun doesn't seem like it likes you. You are pretty pale. No, I'm kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding.
But you're right. I got to get out and play some golf, and we'll play some golf one of these days, big guy.
Well, yeah, that's going to be the main deal, man. Get those new clients out there on the course.
That's right.
And I got to tell you, I'm jealous in a lot of ways, because having a normal life, people don't get it. When you've spent so much time there's a lot to be said for quality of life.
Yeah, you're right. I'd agree with that. There's some pros and cons. The negative to it is I get bored. I'm used to always being on the go, so there's times where I get bored. Where I don't know, I'm done. There's not much to do at night, or I do get bored, but the pros outweigh the cons. Where I get to be with my family, I get nights off, I get weekends, I can go watch my girls. So there's certainly the benefits.
No doubt, brother. And it's always a benefit when we are pleasured enough to have you take time to spend with us. And I sincerely mean that. I'm grateful for any time that you take to talk to us. And just, I love catching up, man. You're always a great dude. And how's your buddy, oh my gosh, the originator, the man who did it first, Mr. Sagarin, doing?
Sagarin's doing okay. He's had some health issues, but I think he's doing okay. Yeah, the original statistics guru. Yeah, he's doing okay. Yep, he's doing well.
Yeah, he was. Dude, I remember reading his stuff when I was in high school. That's how long he's been doing it.
I know. It seems like early '80s, maybe. I think really when he got started. MIT guy, so he's a brilliant mind and just a fascinating guy to talk to. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Well, brother, I appreciate you. And I know everybody loves hearing from you. They love hearing you when you're on Dan's show as well. You guys are a lot better together than us two, because you've got a lot more inside things you could talk about. But it's always a blast. I sincerely appreciate you, and I hope to see you out somewhere soon.
Bet, Jim. Good to talk to you, man.
You too, buddy. You have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon about your commercial interest.
Yes, sir. I'll be ready.
MJ, baby. MJ Insurance.
There you go.
Dane Fife, appreciate you, my friend.
See you, man. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, buddy.
Hello, everyone. Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Thank you, as always, for listening to our content. But for more in-depth coverage on the Indiana Hoosiers football, basketball, and recruiting news, go to thehoosier.com on 3. Now with On 3, and great national writers like Ari Wasserman, Andy Staples, and Steve Wiltfong for football, Pete Nakos, J.B. Shaw, and Joe Tipton's constantly breaking stories on the basketball side. And the local coverage from Alec Lasley, Kyler Staley, and Zach Browning. You can catch something new every day at thehoosier.com. Go there, sign up today.